You need to try and pick off the units as... Look at the shields on the Mark.
Oh my god, the world's gonna take this!
Hello, special guest commentator Day 9 here, bringing you some IPL Season 2 action from the lower bracket. We have Mouse Sports ThorZaIN as the red Terran in the right position, and up north we have FXO Imba's Strelok as the blue Terran. Map is going to be Metalopolis, and I'm super excited to see both of these players play out this game because they have some really weird style conflicts going on. ThorZaIN, of course, has gotten so much popularity since his win in the TSL 3, and as we have seen, it is absolutely no fluke at all. And the number one thing that Strelok's play always illustrates is preparation. You see so many little cool tricks and techniques ThorZaIN does with these extremely meticulously prepared builds. And interestingly enough, he's up against Strelok, who's gone through a big change in his styles as of late. Traditionally, Strelok has been the most standard of standard bears, the bear that works the 9-to-5 job with his 3-piece suit and briefcase and hibernates for exactly 3 months in the winter. Standard frickin' bear, man. However, recently Strelok has begun incorporating some crazy aggression into his opening builds, doing a lot of cute harass with Reapers and Blue Flame Hellions, as well as dropping. Though it takes him a while to get his typical mix of units started in the game, he's often able to do so much damage he can end in some very quick wins, and we've seen him have a lot of success in online tournaments such as NASL, going 8-1 in a relatively difficult group. So given the fact that both of these players have cool styles and have been putting results on the table, I'm relatively unsure of who will actually come out ahead. It would be hard-pressed to put an advantage in either direction. Both players are going barracks first. ThorZaIN walling off his front, however. It's going to help against a lot of those Hellion harasses early. There is the orbital command. And here's the first deviation we're seeing. Strelok going for a faster tech lab. I love Reaper openings. And Strelok doing some meta scouting, it looks like. It's never too late to ask. That's correct. There are no close positions on this map by ground, so good for you, Strelok. You are going for a fast Reaper in close positions by air. And again, ThorZaIN showing, again, a little bit of that preparation going on. There's the Marine, easily prepared for any sort of Reaper bust-in on that left side. We don't see any second gas going up, and honestly one of my favorite ways to open in this matchup is to get the fast Reaper and then immediately get the second gas guys are started. You can get it started quite early and quite safely, as this Reaper affords you a lot of map control. But we see Strelok instead going for that early orbital command, and again another great advantage of Reapers. You have a leftover tech lab. Are you going to add it to your factory? If you think the answer is yes, then you either guessed correctly 50% of the time, or you are a smart analyst of StarCraft 2. So Strelok is now checking the front of the base. ThorZaIN does have it walled off. And again, look at how well this works together. Having the Marines prepared against the Reaper, having the wall off, dealing with the scouting SCV, and the factory from ThorZaIN hidden now at that top corner. Early second gas going down for ThorZaIN as well. And per usual, the starport popping down. A great opening in general in TVT. But of course, an even greater opening when the distance to your opponent's base is, well, let me finish the StarCraft. Boom! Done! I'm at his base. Incredibly close positions by air. Reactor going down by Strelok, so it appears that Strelok disappointing me by going tragically standard. Not going to be doing any sort of crazy, funky, fast. No, never mind. Strelok, yes, God bless you. He is, in fact, going for the Blue Flame Hellion harass. I mean, honestly, going straight for the tank and reactor barracks is so standard after this early expand. We've seen players like StarTails Bomber begin doing that quite a bit, but Strelok always peppering in a bit of his Strelok flair. And again, a very new school style coming from Strelok. Does not do this in a lot of his older games. There's the Banshee going down. There's the Cloak going down. No add-on yet from the Factoire. We see ThorZaIN now adding on his own reactor barracks, making sure that he can begin producing those Marines 2 at a time. Expo just now starting, and the money scan by Strelok, getting the chance to see everything. And I honestly sometimes wish that would show up in the resources lost tab. Like, oh gosh, your hidden plan has been revealed. Minus, and it just puts an unhappy face. That would be so great. There is now the starport finishing up. So it looks like Strelok timed his build so well. We even see him saving up his money. So boom, he can plant down the Viking. Strelok not going to waste any time preparing for this Banshee. And ThorZaIN going to be doing a little bit of micro action, trying to get himself into a good position. We see that this one Banshee is going to be able to pick off 2 Marines, and it will now retreat. So that has overall been a huge loss for this Banshee. Going for the starport fast interrupts your play when you're trying to get tanks, and of course the amount of resources that you would spend on Cloak and Banshees ordinarily. ThorZaIN sees how much of a loss it is and goes ahead and cancels the cloaking field. Always a great play. Expo done now for Strelok. It's not being used, but there finally the transfer comes. And we're seeing how much earlier the Expo is when compared to ThorZaIN. ThorZaIN only just now getting his command center done, hasn't morphed it to an orbital command yet. The Reaper in the middle doing the smart thing, guarding that essential Xel'Naga Watchtower. I cannot emphasize enough how important this is, because as we see so often in this matchup, if you control the Xel'Naga Watchtower, you control vision to the most vulnerable spot to your base, right here by the cliff for Strelok, or right here by the cliff for ThorZaIN. This is where you siege up and begin dropping and chewing into his main base to his structure core, and that is one of the easiest ways to get a win on the table on this map. Strelok putting a surprising amount of turrets down, really does not want to get busted in by one of those early Banshee harasses, and interestingly, Strelok has still seen no expansion from ThorZaIN, so he's going to be getting a little defensive, a little suspicious. But man, look at ThorZaIN. Even though he went for that ultra-fast Banshee, wasted no time bouncing back to the traditional Terran mix, the Marine tank medevac, even now getting his stim and having the 2 barracks pumping out those Marines. Transfer is coming up for ThorZaIN. Always love how ThorZaIN can so rapidly move back to his usual play. And as we're seeing on the unit mix, we see Strelok with all his fanciness, with his, Reaper and his Blue Flame Hellions, we're seeing that he's a little bit behind. Strelok does manage to get a great pick-off, kill a Banshee, but we're seeing, look at this, 9 Marines and no tanks versus 3 Marines, 3 tanks, 13 Marines, 1 Viking, and ThorZaIN is starting to poach dangerously close to, again, the essential Xel'Naga. So key to maintain absolute stranglehold on that, or you can have a very easy-peasy loss. ThorZaIN looks like he is now gearing up to build a barracks in this tech lab. A little unusual, as he's not really going to need it. Would not be surprised to honestly see him just move this barracks to build a reactor and then go ahead and build another factory. There's the reactor going down on the starport, and ThorZaIN brilliantly taking a 3rd command center. If he is ahead in the standard front, he's making all the basic units, but earlier than his opponent. We see the tank lead and the Marine lead. ThorZaIN is going to exploit that advantage by taking himself a very early 3rd base. And there the stim is now done. Again, helping ThorZaIN's Marine strength over his opponent. The 2 Vikings trying to do a little bit of damage, and ThorZaIN has to be really careful to have those guys on hold position. Look at how close ThorZaIN is to this super crazy, dangerous spot on the map by this weird-looking slot machine pump. ThorZaIN is really putting the pressure on just by having these units here, but most importantly by taking this 3rd base so rapidly. Now we see tanks from Strelok beginning to make their way forward. And ThorZaIN, Spider Sense, went crazy a little bit, so he backed up. He's going to go ahead and siege up closer to this Xel'Naga Watchtower and give a reassuring call to Mary Jane. Oh, ThorZaIN. Got to be careful. Keeping those guys on hold position. So important. There's the combat shield going down. Marines continuing to be produced. And, oh, bam. Ah! Getting lucky with a call. Looks like the factory is going down on the tech lab. So ThorZaIN definitely going for the big standard production. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4 barracks, 3 with reactors, 7 Marines at a time, 2 tanks popping out. Both players now investing in the engineering bay. And Strelok now flooding with barracks. He has more barracks than his opponents, but these are a little bit of desperation barracks at this point, because we can see Strelok is far behind on the expand front despite getting an earlier second. And this little sneak around attack could do some damage, but more importantly, it has to do damage. It must do damage if Strelok loses these Marines, these aren't just 10 Marines down the drain. These are 10 Marines that will completely mess up the momentum of this battle up here at the north end. So Strelok absolutely must do a lot of damage to the SCV line. He's beginning to move forward, and oh no, he's going straight for the planetary fortress. He pulls back, sees this other force stims. Oh my god, that went as badly as it could have. Imba Strelok now looks like he's just going to go for a push. He's hoping that he drew enough units away with the southern push that he can break the center. He's throwing down some auto turrets to tank fire. He's not sieging up his own tanks. He is just going for it. But the tank line from ThorZaIN stretches way far back, losing a lot of units. Strelok will have to pull back after that very unsuccessful attack, and oh, Strelok is in quite the bind. In the unit counting station, though, we see that Strelok's flood of these barracks is allowing him to still maintain a fairly even footing in the Marine count. Some Viking trading going on. Looks like ThorZaIN might come out on top unless these Marines can pick it off. Fairly even at this point, but as we can see, a lot of queuing going on. This happens in Strelok's play very frequently, where he'll have a lot of spamming going on. Now finally stopping that flood of queues of Marines and adding on even more barracks. Back in the main of ThorZaIN, we are seeing add-ons on every structure. ThorZaIN having a lot more calm and time to do what he wants to do, because again, he's the one holding the essential Xel'Naga Watchtower. I'm almost making it sound like a fragrance. Xel'Naga Essential. There's ThorZaIN now moving through. Strelok doing a great job of holding on despite this disadvantage that he's at. ThorZaIN now swinging around with his small force of Marines, and this is a good bit of damage that he's going to do, forcing the cancel on the 4th, so he still has that lead in upgrades. And wow, Strelok might just go for a big push. We can see him sacking control of this center area. Wow! But with the aggressive advantage, ThorZaIN has controlled those vision centers and is now just swinging everything back over to the left side. He's going to have to be extremely careful with these unit positionings, because if Strelok catches ThorZaIN off guard and realizes that just one tank and a handful of Marines are here, he can easily bust through this backside. We see Strelok now going for an early 4th, actually interestingly getting an orbital command here instead of a planetary fortress, having a lot of confidence in the position that he's in. We see upgrade-wise, this might be the one key that lets ThorZaIN swing the advantage into a final blow in his favor. No upgrades going down for Strelok, while in the meantime, ThorZaIN getting that level 2 attack. And as we can see somewhere on the map, there it is. He's getting more upgrades for his tanks, more upgrades for his Marines, and making a lot of barracks. ThorZaIN really trying to ramp up the aggression. There's a little skirmish happening on the left side. Strelok will have to pull back. Strelok slowly running out of options. In the production front, we see both of them having 4 medevacs. Strelok having slightly more Marines. Now, if Strelok wants to break through, he can do a bomber-esque technique and keep 100% of his units in one aggressive pack. Be defending himself by virtue of a scary aggressive push, and he misses this swing around attack by ThorZaIN. This is a huge win for ThorZaIN right here, doing tons of damage. It looks like Strelok might just be going for it on this backside, but no, ThorZaIN has so many tank siege. Oh, Strelok losing all his Marines. Oh, Strelok losing almost everything, and meantime, at the top left expansion, we see that ThorZaIN doing huge damage, finally cleaning up house, but in the meantime, Strelok has lost tremendous amounts of units, is almost doubling his opponents in terms of the resources lost, and oh no, the 4th command center will he be able to keep it alive? It's at 10. Oh, he loses it! Strelok even having the SCVs present. Blunder after blunder for Strelok, having a total fall apart, but it is no surprise given the amount of aggression that ThorZaIN's doing. And this is all thanks to ThorZaIN's fast switch back to that Marine tank business, and the fact that that Blue Flame Hellion play by ThorZaIN did almost nothing. And look at ThorZaIN just saying, yeah, I'll take some damage. I'm still going to sneak around the left, and ThorZaIN now going for more killing blows. Couple of stray units getting lost in the center of the map, but this push popping up the backside doing a lot of damage, and now it looks like Strelok, having the superior Marine count, will get a nice little kill on a big pack of tanks, but with more tanks stretching farther back, ThorZaIN, I guess I would say, elongating his stranglehold. Yeah, the vocabulary is flowing in this Game 1 match between these two players. Now it looks like ThorZaIN trying to continue to advance forward, and look at the amount of barracks producing. Look at those upgrades swelling up. We see Strelok at 0-0 upgrades on his tanks. We see Strelok at 1-1 upgrades on his Marines, and in the meantime, ThorZaIN is at 2-1 and has 1-0 tanks. And now Strelok again going for the aggressive push, clustering his whole army together, but without any siege, this Marine line of ThorZaIN is going to do a surprising amount of damage. And oh, going to lose a lot of them, but it's not a big deal for ThorZaIN. He is going for a big push up in the third base. It doesn't matter if he loses a little bit of hold on the essential watchtower. He is going to be able to kill off the third base, and he is ripping through a ton of units, picking off the Marines first, and now taking down the tanks. Mules getting dropped, SCVs still taking some heavy hits, and ThorZaIN replenishing army at an alarming rate. Look at this, 26 Marines. He has the lead in tanks and Marines. 14 Marines at a time, 2-2 upgrades now, finishing 3-3 in the pipeline. And Strelok just trying as best he can to hold on. Oh no! Marine bombs dropping down, the most brutal way to lose your tanks to your own tanks. And ThorZaIN at a 50 food lead at this point, 154 to 103. Strelok now swinging along the left side with a big pack of Marine tank medevac. One stray tank from ThorZaIN is going to spot a ThorZaIN trying to desperately reposition. Does not want to lose to one big final counterplay. And it looks like ThorZaIN in the meantime still continuing to elongate his pressure. Stretching forward now, sieging the tanks up, getting the Marines up into the main, and with 3-2 Marines, that is going to be a big problem for Strelok. Strelok now trying to find somewhere he can pop through. ThorZaIN still holding down, repositioning his smaller amount of units in the center while this drop continues to clean up in the main. Strelok has hardly any resources left. He's down to just 23 Marines. And here comes the huge push from Strelok and the good game. Strelok unable to break through. ThorZaIN gonna take a big win in Game 1.